Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, global strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you for making time on this Friday.
Thank you for having me today.
On Wall Street, the markets were down Thursday after President Trump said he'd be holding a press conference Friday local time about China. Investors expecting tensions to rise. What's the story in the global markets today?
Yes, as you said, major U.S. stock index futures are edging lower in the potential for the President Trump announcing a press conference on Friday about China. If you look at the overall market movement yesterday, markets were quite strong until the announcement that Trump will be making the conference. Most of the indices were up by somewhere between 1 to 2%, but right after that announcement, it dropped. And the Dow Jones lost about 0.6%, S&P declined 0.2%, and NASDAQ was down 0.5%. Clearly, we're not sure what kind of announcement will be made by President Trump, and we are watching for that. And overall market globally were taking some toll. But as far as the Korean markets are concerned, they did quite reasonably okay. All in all, I think that we're not sure what kind of announcement will be made. And as for this announcement by China, it's not going to be a law that it will be implemented immediately. It's just that they might be able to do this. So we have to watch and see how things play out after the announcement of Donald Trump.
Well, now we do have the U.S. Secretary of State and others saying Hong Kong is no longer autonomous, that it's lost its special status and is effectively part of the mainland now. Hong Kong is still one of the major financial hubs of Asia. So if the U.S. decides to formally remove its special status, what happens to the financial markets?
Well, if that actually happens, it will be quite negative news, and that the dispute between U.S. and China will escalate even further. I'm not sure whether U.S. will be actually implementing quite aggressive measures until the actual presidential election in November. Nevertheless, they keep saying about during this conference that we're talking about the sentiment as well as some kind of policies that we made over the next several months. Clearly, once again, we're not really sure what kind of the measures will be made by Donald Trump, other than saying that it is a possibility, because the current situation-wise, the COVID-19 incident is making quite negative tolls for the economic growth, and both countries are making major policies to boost the economies. And if actually there are some kind of these measures come through and that results into higher inflations or any type of negative effects by these measures, then clearly the cost of the coming back from the COVID-19 will be quite heavy. So therefore, we're not sure whether there will be actual actions to be made, but they'll be talking about it, and we have to really wait and see what President Trump talks about tonight.
Well, now Korean stocks were down today, but managed to eke out a slight gain at the end. Lots of factors in play, including those tensions. Tell us about the markets domestically.
Yes. If you look at the South Korea, there are a couple of issues. Number one is that obviously with the China tension rising, Korea does get affected quite heavily in terms of the currency-wise. One's been kind of depreciating gradually, and it almost hits 1240 range. Clearly, that is putting a dent to the equity market. Also, there's a news about the COVID-19 cases jumping in 53 days at the record highest level. And clearly, widespread of the COVID-19 is making effect in terms of the consumption recoveries. These factors are quite important at this point in time. But nevertheless, we will see more aggressive measure by the government in terms of the fiscal and monetary policies. Yesterday, there was a 0.25% rate cut. And going forward, there will be more fiscal policies to boost the economies. If that's the case, given the fact that Korea is doing quite better relatively to other countries, hopefully the equity market will be able to sustain, even though despite this concern about China and U.S. dispute.
All right, Mr. Yu, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thanks so much for coming on. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.